Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We are two longtime friends who get together periodically to discuss the riveting and trashy world of reality TV, and in this instance, docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which is short and long-winded and short-breathed and somewhere mid, somewhere meh, but at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet. Hi. So yeah, we are talking about Ashley Madison, Sex, Lies, and Scandal. And this is episode 1, Life's Short. Have an affair. And this is on Netflix, honey. So um this is our brand new docu-series that we're also discussing, so get in for a ride and let's talk about it. So it opens up on, I wrote here, a zaftig, rotund, eccentric man in a goofy pink flamingo top, and he is wearing glasses, ponders aloud, and is self-conscious, and he talks about you know he's sitting in such a place, and he's very colorful, looks like very like Palm Springs in such a way. And we know Ashley Madison is like what is known as like a heterosexual affair website. So like, it's an interesting already combo, and obviously character that this docu-series is going to introduce right away as being interesting, remarkable in some way.
Mhm. So we start with that man who's like worried about whether or not he looks thin on camera,
Hmm.
and he's like, they're so far from it that it's just like laughable. And so his name is Evan Back. So that was interesting. And he says that he worked for Ashley Madison for under 10 years. And then we hear a voiceover that says, for most people, married life is really hard. And then all I wrote was set a Canadian voice. It's because something within that sentence tipped me off immediately that this was a Canadian, like everything about what we're about to do and watch is Canadian. And so then I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know Ashley Madison was a Canadian company. And so then it goes in 2015, 35 to 40 million members were a part of Ashley Madison before they had that huge hack and data breach. And it was one of the largest ever at the time. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so then we get a guy named Sam, and we're like, what is this guy? And he's kind of hot too. Like he's cute in like a Christian,
Yes,
he's
boy
cute. He's
band.
cute in an Imagine Dragon type of way. He's
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine Dragon cute Christian. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yes.
And so he's talking about his dad left and he loved the movie Big Fish, and he had this really grandiose idea about what love would be and what it would look like and feel like. And then he met Nia. He was 24 and Nia was 20, and the skinniest eyebrows and the skinniest arms, and they got married, and he like was in love with just their courtship and the way everything happened. And she was like, oh my God, I finally found my perfect Christian man and I want to be the perfect wife. And he walked down the aisle and he saw me and he burst into tears. And I said, this is exactly what Chris wants.
I want to I don't need the like the super Christian part, but I definitely am. This is so sad for me that he was like, he just gave up being in love with like who he thought was like the perfect person for him. But I wish that we would know more, because I'm like, there's something else. Like, there's something else. Like, he just seems to be like, I just needed like a little more excitement or whatever. They end up having like kids really, really fast. And obviously she gets thicker eyebrows, which we all did. So this is like no shame for her. But did you ever see the movie Big Fish, by the way, with Hugh McGregor, where at the end he just like says how much he loves someone and it's supposed to be like life changing? I feel like I thought I had, but this now I don't remember it at all. But I kind of just remember it overall being like a good movie. I mean, not maybe like transformational, but it's for some.
Yeah, I never saw La La Land. Like there's movies that
Mm.
get like the biggest hype, and I'm just like, that's not written for me. Like they're not interested in me as their audience.
I know that if I ever like married someone who cried when I walked down the aisle and then he cheated on me, I think I would just be like, but you were so happy to marry me. You knew how lucky you were then and how overwhelmingly better I was than you then. How dare you turn your back on such a feeling?
Well, so now you know that that can happen. So,
Oh,
just be aware that if he
well,
cries, he could still cheat.
I'm not ever going to get married.
Uh, so, she's
Mark
just like,
Morgan's. Okay.
she's just like very, very, very excited about that. So then we switched to Toronto, and we had Mark Morgenstern, who was the original creative director and the like person who created Ashley Madison. And then we get an interview with his brother, and the brother starts talking about the fact that it even came to be was because a statistic got put out about how many married people were actually on the regular dating websites. And so they were like, well, then why don't we create a community for these niche who are out here like doing their thug thizzle. Now that I know about the different type of relationships and the different type of like dynamics that some couples can have, I don't necessarily listen. Back then, I never really thought that it was any of my business, because I'm like, I'm not married, so why should I be paying attention to what married people are doing? But I never thought Ashley Madison within itself was bad. I thought it was just like a space where they allowed people who wanted to do this. But now I realize, like, what if majority of the people on their actual website were swingers or were people who were in open relationships, and this was an easy place for them to find each other. So it's just really interesting that the moral right took such a like, people were like so upset about this, and I'm like, guys, this is just like human nature. It's a place where people can do something that you find to be immoral, but like your morality is not everyone's morality.
Yeah, in a way, Hinge and or like Field or any of the other ones can kind of tip their head on this now. When they're trying to come up with a name, they're like, we just wanted like upper middle class names of like generic white wonder bread eating women. So they said like, Ashley Madison, just like put those names in the
as
90s.
Opposed to like Tammy and Crystal. Like, could you imagine the name was like Tammy Crystal? No, yeah. Tammy and Crystal are two atrocious names. I'm gonna say, I'm sorry if your name is Crystal, and if your name is Tammy, you're probably somewhere chain smoking, like on a sun deck, like with wrinkled ass skin. But like, I'm sorry, Crystal. I don't know a Crystal executive, and I'm not saying they don't exist, but I just don't hear that name ever. It's like I heard that name in junior high and high school, and then after that, never heard anyone named Crystal ever again.
Yeah, I liked the name Madison. Like, I remember like growing up and being like, Madison's a very cool name. Like, I like the name Taylor, but I never was that. I was Chrissy. But then we meet Claire Brownell, and she says that Ashley Madison was in fact a pioneer, and it was a really there idea. And so like, yeah, just really taking it home that she's Canadian or whatever. But in a way it was like for the reasons why you're saying, like they get a new CEO, this guy named Noel Biederman. And he, in his previous life, was a sports lawyer, someone who really knew the power of an assertive narrative and didn't have any qualms in guiding a large morale to view a certain situation in the way that he felt appropriate. What in itself is an influencer, someone who can take on that situation. It's very interesting. And I think that sometimes we like know CEOs of company, but like sometimes we definitely don't. And for this man to like not only do the CEO stuff, which is a lot of day-to-day work, but then take on the PR aspect in such a personified way, I mean, it's a lot of work. But he honestly liked to be in front of that camera because he does 100 billion things. He even gets his wife do it. Yeah, he calls his 2004. In 2004, he calls his childhood camp friends.
Evan.
Now,
so Evan, who we see in the beginning, is his best friend from summer camp. Yeah. He calls Evan in, and he's like, "Hey, Evan, you ever use a computer before?" Except for in a like Ontario accent. He's like in a Toronto accent. And Evan is like, I mean, I've seen a computer. And I'm like, this is 2004. Please don't get on here and represent yourself like 2004 people didn't have computers. That is the craziest thing. He had never used a computer. It was 2004. I'm sorry, sir. If you said that to me, then I would have to assume that to this day you're 85 years old, because you were old then to not have ever gotten a computer, and you're old now. Yes. But no, that's not the case. Evan's not that old, so it's just hilarious. So we see Evan pacing around the smallest backyard, or what looks like the smallest round pool ever. He needs to zhuzh up his landscaping in the back. You could do better, Evan. So they somehow have a space in San Diego now, no longer in Toronto. and they really do just grow the company exponentially. And the way that they do it is pay to play, is that they make the men buy credits in order to send notes and messages and likes and winks to different women. And to me, that's already something I would never do. Like I just would. And whenever I get on a website, or in the past I've ever gotten on a website and they're like, "Ooh, pay to do this," I'm like, "No, you should just be grateful I'm here."
Well, the females are
No,
free.
I know that, but like this is
Oh.
before we knew that the females were free at this time. But I'm like, but even like apps and stuff and games and different things like that, as soon as they start asking me to pay money, I'm like, no, no, I don't want to. Like Candy Crush, as soon as they started asking me to pay money, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna get far in this game because I'm not gonna. I would give 99 cents if they sold me something for 99 cents, I'd buy it. But like 10.99 for extra lives, no, girl.
Once you say that they'll can get you for 99 cents, it means they can get you. Listen, I never played Candy Crush, but I was obsessed with Design Home, which then became this thing where I would just design different bedrooms and living rooms and whatnot rooms according to different schemes and whatever the client wanted. At the same time, there'd be like fancy furniture, like and better furniture and like extra like upgrades you can do if you just like paid some money. And during the pandemic, I justified getting a bunch of credits, you know what I'm saying, over and over again, because I was like, this is what I have. This is all I have, you know. And in a way, listen, you can really justify, like, if I'm not gonna go out tonight, I'm not gonna like have a drink or anything. Like, who cares if I just spend like $4.99 on this dumb thing, you know? Especially if it's like,
Oh, I've
oh,
never thought of it that way.
oh, well, this is
I don't
unfortunately
want
what
to.
happens in my
Yeah, I
head.
know.
This is okay.
I
Well,
already
this is what
heard
it
it,
is.
and now I'm upset. But wow, what a great way to think about it. Don't, that would get me in so much trouble. And so yeah, as Chris mentioned, the women didn't have to pay because they made it seem like it was really just the men out here like trying to do their deed. But no, there were women out here like, doing whatever. So then we see a guy named Rob. Rob is one of the people who did Ashley Madison, got a thrill from it, loved it. And he talks about, being married and all that stuff. And then they do a little switcheroo on us with Rob later on. So they show us different footage of them trying to create commercials, change their slogan, get a way to really catch the people. And then Noel came up with one that's just like, life's too short, cheat, or something like that. Life's too
Have an
short,
affair.
have an affair. And that's the thing that hooked people. Life's too short, have an affair. And I think as long as it's consensual and you're not doing anything to, to be mean to your spouse, like I say, go on ahead and do what you got to do.
Sam would have wished he did that, but instead Sam was working as a night nurse and was just bored out of his mind, like cleaning up whatever the fuck he had to clean up, and just like was either exhausted or needed like a hit of something, was maybe just like scared that there was no more excitement in his life or whatnot. He says, and he signs the fuck up. He just signs up to this website, honey, and he just starts going through profiles. And he, basically met everyone around in his area, which in itself is so scary to me. I'm like, okay, how is none of it going to come back? Like, you're just going to shit in the area in which you eat. Seems crazy. But he did, and listen, it's not just him. He's just the hot everyman that we're following, because Noel goes on major talk shows and US and, starts trying to get more females involved. Like, as I said,
he got on one show and they were like, it's part of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not have an affair or something. And the guy's like, well, actually there's 613 commandments and one of them is don't eat shrimp. So like, what are we saying here? It's like, there are 613 commandments. I never knew. A la Tony Baker. I only thought there were 10, 12 max. Did you know there were 613?
I think that might be a version of like, is that in the Torah or something? I'm not quite sure, like I don't know my 613 commandments, but I was just raised, like whoever Catholic Christian. So, but then they like start talking to like one of the workers that were there, like, one of the billing people. And they were like, yeah, we would just like bill it being like, this is just like some search engine that gets you things or whatever. And like pregnant women would call and be like, hi, my husband has paid you $29.99 over and over again. They're like, oh, it's just no, we're helping him with his resume. And they're like, no, he's not trying to look for a job. They're like, okay, well, I'll get rid of those charges. And then just like wink, wink to the husband. The husband's like, I'll get a new card. Just
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah, and then we go back to Sam and Nia, and then, obviously Nia is participating in this. So, and we know what the name of the docuseries is. So by the grace of God, we understand that this woman knows that like what her life has obviously what's happened in her. We all know what's happened in her life. We all know what's going to happen. So we know when they're not talking and how perfect it's being set up to be. We know that we are past that storm, honey. And she's had to like grieve the fucked upness of the situation. Now, how it all plays out, we'll see. But they are not filming together. And whether they film later in a confessional together, we'll see of the status. But anyway, she was like, listen, I tried to be the perfect wife. I really loved him. Like our sex was great. We kept having all these kids, obviously, like, like you tell me he didn't, obviously, whatever. And, we also meet like this woman who's baking, and she's just like, I'll tell you one thing about me, honey. I love to cheat. I've been
Hmm.
cheating. Like, I don't even
Hmm.
call it cheating anymore. But what's happening is if you see me breathing, I'm cheating. I'm not
Hmm.
in a relationship. I don't cheat on. I bake. I cheat. You know what I'm saying? And we're like, oh, okay. And she's just like buttering some like looks like oat muffins that come
Toast.
out.
Oh,
No, what she's baking. Yeah.
I'm
So,
just I'm just trying to help
yeah.
you
Thank you.
say what
Thank
you're
you.
trying to say. It's a
I
cookie.
know.
She actually has a cookie, so she didn't butter anything. So I was just trying to help.
Don't know
she
what you're talking about.
brings cookies out, and so she just says that she couldn't help but cheat. She had a high sex drive, and that sometimes the men would be like not wanting to be in the mood, and she's like, oh, I can't deal with that. So then we
Wait,
don't.
her pictures from the 80s and 90s are also like, look at me. Look at me. Yeah, I fucking cheated. Bam. It's like these like I mean, just like leather, hard, shoulder just looks, LEWKS, that this woman has been serving all her life. She's like, I've been going out. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
I could not contain this. So you do what you can with this,
Yeah, so she tells us the story about just her infidelities and like how she kind of worked through them or whatever, and then we find out in 2012 the Ashley Madison brand started branching out to different countries, including Muslim countries, and it was kind of like, we will arrange your affair. And then they do a shot of like Canadian money, and I'm like, where are they? Oh, yeah. US is like one of the only countries that doesn't have like colored money, and now we do. But even now, I'm still like, colored money looks one thing, but it's like, have you ever had like dollar bills from other country where you could like see through them? It felt like it was made out of plastic, like recycled materials.
No, like board game money. It looks like
Well,
board
no,
game money.
I've seen it where it looks like recycled material and it's like kind of see through somehow. I'll find one that I have. It was like maybe from
Oh.
Guatemala. I don't know. It just looks so different. So when I see
Mm.
the Canadian money, I'm like, it looks so different. Because even when I went to Canada, I used my card for everything, so I didn't like touch Canadian money. But anyways, so at this point we find out that they have the worst security. In fact,
Yeah.
almost next to nothing. But their website says that they do. So on now, I was just like, oh my God, I'm on any websites that say that they trust, and I have my credit card everywhere in the world. Jesus, Carmen San Diego, like I gotta, like, oh my God, it's just like, am I, it just made me like freak out, because these men and women, they just trusted this company who lied and basically was just like not really putting any effort into security, and they thought about it, but then something else took that money instead. Like they kept budgeting for it and like taking away from the budget for the security. And it was just like they were just waiting for it to just kind of explode. It was like a ticking time bomb. And they really were gambling with people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this makes me think also like the sugar baby websites, like Seeking Arrangement, or maybe that's the sugar baby website. Like in the sense of all of those users' names can be like hacked and given out at any given time. And Ashley Madison though was hacked because like I think of the flagrant kind of like morale, even though those other ones have like morale issues too. It's interesting why they would like pick Ashley Madison. But sorry, I thought there was gonna be
I
like a
feel like
car crash.
Ashley Madison is the first of their kind, kind of. I don't know.
That makes sense.
I
Yeah.
don't
So
know.
basically, Noel decides to bring out his wife Amanda, and like they sort of go on a PR campaign talking about how, listen, they don't cheat. They're perfect. They're doing their thing. Like they don't need it. Penny, they've been having sex, but they need to make money off of it. So might as well. If she's okay with it, how we make money, why don't
Yeah.
you be okay with it? It's like that's kind of what they do or whatever. And it's just like, okay. I mean, and again, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I don't understand why you needed a PR campaign unless just to get the word out. Because I don't think that people who you're not talking people into cheating. Like I can't imagine someone who was 100% happy was just suddenly jarred by a commercial and be like, "What? I can cheat?"
Yeah.
Like I think that it just maybe got more popular and there were more bots, which I also heard, or maybe people just like knew about it in other countries where then like, yeah, the cheaters got smart to it, which they want to cheat, like they're going to do
Hmm.
what they got to do. They also can just go to a bar, like if you want to F someone and you don't want a relationship, that's much easier than trying to like get it all right. Find someone that you want to like romantically connect with, sexually connect with, and also like talk to. That's all very difficult.
Yeah. The bar, going out to a bar, I guess I just haven't been to a bar where I am on the prowl. Like every
Mm.
time I go to a bar, it's just for me to like have some drinks and eat. Like I'm never looking around or trying to like be appealing or like sitting up or like, making eye contact with anybody that isn't on my phone. And so I just don't understand how one does that in a bar. Just like cold read, walk up to somebody or like make eyes with a group of guys and like go over and chat with this. So fucking weird to me. It's not me. Anyways, so Evan, who is a member of the friend in the beginning with the outrageous outfit, they ask him, it's like, what would you do if your husband ever cheated on you? And Evan's like, I just can't imagine my spouse cheating on me. I don't even know what would I do, because I have never even thought of it. And I'm like, that's interesting. You work for a company where you assist affairs, and you have never thought about that happening to you. So the Hubert is so weird. So then we cut back to Rob, and Rob is like, I'm the happiest married man that he knows. Like because his wife allows him to do what he does. Then we like get a scene where we realize his wife is the cheater. His wife is the baking woman who can't do nothing
Yes.
but cheat, and we find out that she's now in an open relationship with her husband, and she's a dominatrix.
Yes, she is. Yeah, she gets to really act out her like dom girl fantasies, and he is not into that, but he is into other things, and they're just like sharing this polyamorous life together, which is honestly great. And San Diego is a
Yeah.
sunny, warm place. They seem very, very happy. I
Mhm.
mean, and everyone knows what they're getting. But we
What
move on.
polar opposites though of like Nia and Sam, who are these like good Christian couple,
Hmm.
and these completely polyamorous like wild people who've been cheating on their spouses since they ever got a spouse. You know
Yeah,
what I
much
mean? And
older.
to show the like spectrum of people involved in Ashley Madison. And it was truthfully an unnecessary thing. Like I still don't quite understand the reason for showing us these two couples, besides letting us know that people who are on Ashley Madison weren't sleazeballs. It's like they're trying to elevate, Ashley Madison from Tammy Crystal.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I definitely think there's probably sleazeballs. But yeah, this next part is Bananarama. So then fucking Sam, who's like night nursing and just like hooking up with all the women in his like city, watches Frozen and he's like, what a movie, and it's getting a lot of fanfare. You know what I need to do? I need to come up with a video for me and my wife to do. And if I do, it's like God has commanded, thus spoken through me, that we will hit it big. So then he fucking does. Like it's just him and his wife, and they start practicing singing that Love is an Open Door, which is like, love is an open door. Love is an open. So they are practicing and reconnecting, having the time of their motherfuck lives. Okay. So then they film it. It's what looks like fine. I mean,
Wait, you didn't see it in real life?
did you?
Yeah. Oh, I
Oh,
was YouTubing in 2015.
oh, well
A YouTuber.
then
So
you tell
like,
me, what was
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah. So
Christian
no,
thing?
it was like so good. It was just like such a good, wholesome video. And like, people had done karaoke car. It wasn't even car karaoke. It was more so voice lip syncing. They were basically lip syncing the song.
Yeah.
And like perfectly. So it was a delight. Like your kids could watch it, and
Oh,
Frozen was everywhere, and it just went super viral. So like he that excitement from that one major event where he was getting calls from, you know, Disney Channel, like they were YouTubers, they were like a family YouTuber, like, and he put a couple of stuff up before the video went viral, but then they just did this video, which I'm sure they weren't the creators of. I'm sure they saw someone else do it and then they were like, oh, we could do this too. And you know, they're just cute, young and white with kids, and so it went super duper viral. But it was, for the time, like, oh, that's cute type of video.
Okay. What grace you give them? Okay, great, because I never saw it, and to me, it just looked so like couple people, family singing on the road. Okay. But I'm so happy for you. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so he, you know, this is the jump he needs. You know, he, like, his dick is hard, and now in a real way, he loves his mom, his family again. It was his mom. He, like, loves his life. You know, he's just like, I deleted the app, didn't need that app anymore. I had gotten the validation I so needed, and was like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it must be nice to get world, you know, validation also. You know, like, what an easy fix for you. And at the same time, is it though? Because, like, how long does it last? I feel like if it's a drug, it you know, runs out. He just, like, was like, yeah, I'm just never gonna discuss the past 2 years or whatever, how long it was. I'm just gonna, like, take that to the grave. And the reason why is Nia would not be able to handle it. Like, she would not, it would not, it's not something we can, like, move past. And now we've been seeing Nia, and we agree. We agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was in love. This was her fairy tale. She was 20 when she met this man.
Yes.
She was a young woman. Like, she had 3 of his kids, and she was at home. And she said she felt like a single mother some of the days too. And she was, like, getting all the shit done. And she was just like, no, that would have been too outside of everything she'd ever imagined for herself.
No, she could not do it.
She could not. So
no.
Then we go back to Pink Shirt, who gets to work in 2015, and he's like, it's eerily quiet. He doesn't know why people aren't speaking really, and no one says to him, oh my God, Evan. No one does it. Everyone's just, like, working. He gets into his office, he turns on his computer, he sees this threatening message with this, like, rock music of, like, if you don't take this shit down in 48 hours, we are going to expose your clients. And he's like, something's wrong with my computer. So he gets
what
up
now?
Yeah. He gets up and he goes into the boardroom and he opens the door and he's like, people are just like, they're like sitting there, and he goes, something's wrong with my computer. And they all turn to him and they go, we know. And so they're just been talking. No one called him. No one said shit to him. He just gets to the office oblivious. And so he gets in there and they are, like, really trying to figure out, like, who these people are. And I was like, oh my God, it's anonymous. Like, or, you know, but it's not anonymous. It's another company. And they really just find the whole website to be despicable. And they give them 30 days to shut it down, or they are going to release all of their customers' pictures and information. And you would think that a company would just shut the shit down and then come back and, like, what were they in debt? Like, were they in over their heads? Did they not have any overhead? Like, shut the shit down. So the people who've been giving you money for, like, almost the last 10 years don't have their whole lives blown up. And we don't know exactly what happened though, but as far as, like, what choice they took, but that's when it goes black.
Yeah. I mean, and just like just because it came out recently, the Grindr story, where Grindr had released information about the users, and users often or share their diagnosis, like, with HIV and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of sensitive information. And with Ashley Madison, I said that they went deep into, like, what kind of kinks one might have. So it's like credit card information, your name, your email, what kinks you might have, which is just, like, such personal information to want to give out or whatever. And, like, you know, again, just another thing, like, poor Sam, the Christian, like, you know, YouTuber, just, like, gave him my real name, gave my real credit card, gave my name, credit card, my primary email, just gave them. No, I didn't have a secret. Like, just, I'm the dumbest. Never been dumber. He's like, you know, we just, by the way, because we're a podcast that does docuseries, we recorded episode 1 of the part 2 of the Jinx, and also Robert Durst is very much sitting in, like, a pile of, like, I'm the dumbest, and just, there is something about that, you know, sharing the shame of how dumb you are in a docuseries is funny to me.
Sharing the shame of how dumb you are is hilarious. Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is basically the through line for our May docu series is how dumb you are.
Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb.
Yeah.
And love is an open door.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So okay, you guys. So that is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more of this, if you want to see the visuals, please join us on patreon.com/docusweeties. You get a live every first Monday of the month and other fun things, including a new little chat room I created talking about my favorite spicy books. So if you're interested in that, please join us at patreon.com/docusweeties. But if you can't do that, Chris will tell you the way you can. Chris?
Oh, just like follow our DocuSweeties social medias. We are at DocuSweeties on Instagram, at DocuSweeties on TikTok, at DocuSweeties1 on X. We have a Facebook group, the DocuSweeties Podcast Facebook group. We are on YouTube. Please like and subscribe our YouTube. Do all the things if you can. Just get it all done in one day. You know what I'm saying? It won't take you long. It just takes you probably 4 hours. That's probably it.
Yeah.
Share all our stuff if you don't mind. Give us 5 stars and a review. There it is. That's all we need from you. Just everything. Even your firstborn. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.